Luca Nation, welcome back to the Fractional Report with Cage and Goldberg. The Fractional Report before opening bell, brought to you by Collectable. Got to say thank you guys, all of you guys listening, participating, commenting. Our engagement is through the roof. It's funny, in the last few weeks, I've gotten to kind of know a lot of people that maybe I wouldn't have gotten to know recently. I don't know. Like, I've done calls with people, exchanged DMs, and everyone thinks of us as some kind of big podcast. I keep hearing. I don't know if this has come up with you too. I personally don't feel that way, and you don't think we're big? We're still the little guy on the totem pole that's just trying to earn their keep. And I think the preparation, the work ethic that we put in is. I'll speak for myself, but you can speak. I still think of myself as the little guy. I still think we have a lot to prove, and hopefully the episodes you guys tune into, you leave feeling you've gotten value. You leave feeling that the hosts got the most out of the guests we brought on, or the hosts, did their research, did their homework. They're in the thick of things. They're giving you guys information to get you to third base, and then it's on you guys to get home. You could steal home, you could get another, but our goal is to get you to third base and help you guys make better buying decisions, whether that with fractional, with slabs, or with prop bets and all that other fun stuff that we do.
I love it, man. I mean, listen, as far as the big podcast, I mean, the two of us combined are, nearly 500 pounds. So we're pretty big.
I told you that in confidence.
People don't, but I've lost weight, so it's okay. But people don't realize just how gigantic you are, because they just see this, this chiseled, well manicured facial hair look that you got going on. They see this and they think, he's a plus you always call me the big guy. Not for
consumption. When I weighed myself and I sent you that picture,
I wasn't talking about how much weight. I mean, the thing that I thought most about that picture you sent me about when you weighed yourself was your toes. I mean, you got hammer time going on in your feet. You can better take care of those feet a little bit. We'll just wear socks next time you send me a picture, because it's just awful.
I haven't been to my favorite massage parlor in a little while, but I'll go. Boca Raton's known for some good ones.
This is what I've been told by you.
By Robert Kraft.
Yeah, well, he's that's an interesting character. Listen, football, another crazy week. And if you happen to listen to, podcasters out there that preach caution and say, be careful with your ultra modern and your quarterbacks and all these unproven guys, maybe you're sitting pretty today. Maybe you didn't dump your entire fortune into Justin Herbert, who's 1-2, or he's injured, or Trey Lance, who's also injured, or maybe you did put your whole money into Tua. I don't know. I don't know what exactly you've done with your money, but what a crazy season.
But even that, you have so much parity. Okay, Tua, but that run looks like it could be at the end of like any week. It could be the end of the run. And then Josh Allen looks fantastic, but then it looks like he's going to take a season-ending hit any play.
Yep.
I can't imagine. I'll tell you guys. They say hard times make hard times make strong men make great times. That whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a Josh Allen holder, talk about hard times. Like, you watch him play on a week-to-week basis, you have an iron stomach. You should go compete with Joey Chestnut at the hot dog eating fair. That's how tough Josh Allen holders are. So respect to them.
See, do you remember we ended yesterday, last week's episode, and I said, hey, it was a card I would have liked to have talked about. And I said, this is a cool card. I didn't realize it was autoed, until we were like flashing through. Like, it was just one of those things I was looking at afterwards. And I showed you the card, and we looked at it. You're like, wow, it's autographed. It's autographed. Do you remember what card it was? You remember it was the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, 04 exquisite dual logo man auto card. Remember that one? And I was like, wow, it's down. Like somebody liquidated. Somebody must have tried to get out and knew their position. That card was up 85% this week. I didn't buy any of it. I wasn't able to get in on any of it. But interesting stuff.
I think cards like that are a reset of creative pricing. So if that card hits a collector, a 1 of 1s, 2 of 2, laundry tags, I think if it really gets into the hands of someone who's like, I've wanted this card, it got away from me, now it's a second opportunity to kind of get back in, you might not see that card resurface for a long time. Obviously, this is an example with Fractional. So we all, but those types of cards is a lot of what I'm thinking about. The really rare stuff, not the not the fake one of ones that we see all the time. The true one of ones, like that card. That's
so. Let me ask you a question, because we're allowed to have these discussions. We're allowed to have discussions about fractional, and the last couple of weeks with me doing my portfolio management, which it's basically I haven't changed since the first time we bought because there's not a lot of liquidity on it. And if I were to show you a screenshot of our portfolio, our $1,000 investment looks like it's worth $1,100 right now, but it's really not. The last trade on the Mahomes, RPA National Treasure out of 99, the true RPA is significantly higher than what the most recent ask was on Friday. So, like, there are people willing to sell now lower than what the last trade was. It just hasn't traded at that lower price. So it's definitely worth less than that. But if you just look at the chart, it's there. And it got me thinking two things. And I'll ask this, and I'd love for you to take it in both these directions. Number one, I don't want it to come across like we have an issue with the liquidity or an issue with this. And I think it's fair to say that the observation I have is that with the fractional space right now, it might not be for someone who's looking to get their money in and money out immediately. That is liquidity, right? We see it. We saw it. I mean, guys, go check out Cardboard Chronicle, Josh's story, where he talks about, the cards that sold in gold and Pwcc, and one he points out is that somebody bought a card a couple of months ago and just sold it. I think they bought it a couple months ago for like 200,000 and just sold it this weekend for like 100 and something thousand. It took a loss. Now, they took a loss, but they wanted liquidity and maybe move their money into something else. That liquidity, the ability to buy, sell, you name it, it's not there right now. But does it have to be? And I get messages asking me about the platform, my thoughts on it. Has it changed, since we've actually put some money on it and paid attention to the bids and the asks and all that stuff? And my answer is, if you remember when I put the money in, I bought a lot of these things with like a combined rationale. One, I was buying them before auctions and thinking, all right, if there's a huge run up in vintage, all right, I'm positioned well. But if there isn't, I'm still positioned well because I don't need to take this money out. I'm not looking to day trade with it. I'm not looking to buy on them a Tuesday, sell the following Monday, and catch it. Sure, if there's a run up, maybe I will. I'll sell here and there if it's the right. But that wasn't the purpose of buying it. The purpose was, to have your money in and not need it out. And I think that right now is a reasonable place for fractional. Right? If you're looking to buy something that is something you can't get anywhere else and you keep your money in it and let time do its thing. That's number one question. I can stop there and let you comment on it, or I can tell you my second issue, whatever you want.
Fractional is not going to be for the James Harden type of shooters, but it will be for the guy that wants to go 75% but take 4 shots. So if you are able to pick your spots, I mean, you have the Wilt Chamberlain jersey. That's an incredible example.
Yep.
IPO'd at 1.2. It's trading at 2.4. Got an offer for $3 million, and it was rejected. I'm surprised by that. But if you pick your spots and you see game worn, true photo match of legends, like how many Wilt Chamberlain full uniforms are there? If you pick your spots, I think you could shoot 75% and do extremely well.
I think the Wilt was, a response to the Jordan. Yeah, the Jordan jersey at 10 and change. So, Wilt at 3 seems reasonable. And I'd venture to say, there's probably less Wilts out there. It's interesting stuff to watch. The second thing is this. It's a legit question, I think. Right? We spent a lot of time this week talking about creative pricing. And part of the premise there is that somebody can take an item and buy it privately and hold it for a couple of months, 6 months, 2 months, put it in a different holder,
cycles, right?
They can hold it for as long as it is. I mean, you don't really have to. When it's a private purchase, nobody knows what you bought it for. So obviously you don't want to buy it and then just put it right on the market, right? But you can buy it, start storytelling, be creative, and set a price for it because nobody knows what you bought it for. My best example is the Messi from Norway / France / by way of, Shyway Vlogs hands. And, nobody knows what they got it for. He can spin a yarn about how it's a $12 million card because it's only one out there and he's the greatest and it's gold. You know, I mean, and that's the whole thing about creative pricing and not being able to have a data point on it. You lose that with fractional, don't you? Is there any way to creatively price these items, or when somebody is quote unquote taking something off the market, automatically it's going to have a comp, it's going to have a price, it's going to have something that it's bought out for that establishes that baseline that people are going to be like, all right, well, we know you bought that off of Collectable and you paid $3 million for that wilt. You can't just tell a story about how it's really worth $5 and try to sell it 6 months later. What are your thoughts about that?
I feel like the items that have done really well on Collectable have either been performance driven and super scarce, or a combination of the two. Like the one that came to my mind was the Jason Tatum Flawless. Remember 10-10?
Yep.
So that one got bought out during his best period in the NBA season. And that's a card that is vertical, on-card auto, and it was a 10-10 designation, which in this cycle of people love that for PSA. So it was like a collision of factors where it was, that is creative pricing, right? It's what is that worth? You get a 10-10 auto. People love that. You have an on-card auto. You have a vertical rookie card. And you have him playing at the best point in his career. I don't know if that answers your question, but I think that's what Fractionals is made for. These performance-driven, one-of-one, or super, super rare items.
Right, but that card gets taken off the market and you can't be, you know, it's taken off and you know what the price is. Like Fractional can't let somebody buy something and keep it quiet what they're buying it for because people have to vote on it.
For sure. Okay.
So, I mean, it's setting a new comp. Does that then limit the upside for that item?
Oh, I see what you're saying. One of the benefits of a buyer buying something in private is they have the potential upside of a creative pricing. So
Correct.
They still have a little. Oh, that's an interesting take. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, and with Fractional, because it's public and because everybody has to vote on it, once, I mean, use the Wilt, for example, right? Like if there was a Wilt jersey out there in the wild, right, and someone was able to buy it for $3 million, but no one knew they were paying $3 million for it, they could come out, buy it for $3 million, not tell anyone that it was bought for $3 million, and go on a publicity tour with whoever, you know what I mean, and go on TV or whatever it is and put this in a museum and then say this is worth more than the $10 million that Jordan sold for because there's probably 1/10 of the amount of Wilt uniforms out there, so this should sell for 15 or 20. It's harder to tell that when it's a $3 million buyout offer that gets, quote, accepted. I mean, this one got rejected.
You're thinking of taking things off the market.
Correct.
Actually bringing things on the market is where the creative pricing comes into play, i.e. the Ruth Baltimore News SGC3.
Yep.
If this Ruth sells for this and this Ruth is this, and by the way, hush, hush, maybe there is a buyer out there who would pay $8 million. We want to offer it to you guys for $7.2. I think the creative pricing works in the direction of bringing it to the Collectable platform, not taking it off.
And where maybe a platform like Collectable should be given a little bit of grace with how the pricing is done. Because here we have spent a whole week talking about how somebody can get creative with pricing when there aren't data points on it. I mean, that Baltimore News Ruth, how do you price something like that?
Look, Collectable is the man in the arena. They have this bold vision, this bold dream of making insanely rare, only available for the top 1% assets available for retail investors. But with that incredible dream comes the execution, which is so difficult. And pricing is difficult even without the complications of the SEC. Adding all these loopholes, adding all these complexity where, let's say, the price today and then it goes IPO in 3 months, we know how much that could change. It's a very difficult model to execute. I would
listen. I think you're 100% correct on it. It's fun. It's just these are the things that I think about when we talk about Fractional and kind of like where Fractional's heading and the future for the items that are on Collectable. I love seeing the buyout offer. And I'm pretty sure it was rejected like 9 out of 10. I think it might have been 90% or more rejected it if I remember reading the email. it's one of those items that,
You know what it
it
is? It's when you have
becomes.
like a $5 parlay to win $350, you're not going to cash out, even though you're at 132, because the numbers are smaller. That literally what IPO'd at 1.23 million. That's 150%.
Yeah, about.
That's an insane return, but maybe because somebody put in $100, they're going to vote no for the 250.
I mean, I like to think that maybe they're holding out for 5 million. So who knows? Who knows? I know what you're saying. It's a smaller number, so it's easy to just say no. But yeah, fun stuff. So a couple of Pwcc comps that are relevant, if I'm allowed to throw these out there. The '03 Ultimate Collection LeBron BGS 9.5. One sold on Pwcc for $90,000. There is one on Collectable with higher subgrades that was down 2.5% this week to 70,590. So again, there's a nicer version, nicer subgrades, higher subgrades on Collectable trading at 70,590, and the one on Pwcc sold for $90,000. So a significant, increase, almost 30% there, below, and better subgrades. So it's just one to keep an eye on. We've talked about the 79 Pwcc Gretzky a million times. We've seen it sell for, depending upon the copy. Remember, obviously, every copy is different, but just the headline, as we talk about on this, the one on Fractional was up slightly on Friday, up 3% to 110,000. Pwcc had one sell for 132.
So I want to talk about that card. So I came in.
Yeah, sure.
You guys have noticed I'm coming in with maybe one or two topics. I want to kind of narrow my scope. And there's a market I'm very worried about, and it's actually against our own interest. And there's a market that I feel confident in. And sometimes in what we're seeing here, when there is a little bit of a, let's call it a correction, who cares what word we use, down market, not losing money is winning. Sometimes we forget that.
Yeah.
I think the safest market right now is vintage hockey. There's not a lot of vintage hockey out there, just in general. And the main guy. And I'll be even more specific. The Gretzky 9. The Gretzky 9 is essentially the 10. The two 10s out there, one's never going to be sold. The other one sold a few times, so you got to believe that that's in the hands of a collector. This PSA 9 Gretzky OPG, I'm confident this is going to hold value with potential upside. And not losing value is, in a market like this, is actually a win. So I feel I want to come in here. The market I feel the most confident is that Gretzky 9, the Gretzky 8s. I think that's a very strong market.
All right. I mean, I've always likened that to the Jordan 10, but the difference is there's significantly less population. But keep in mind, while there's less pop, there's also a Topps version, which is, valued less, but does provide an alternative for, people to invest.
OPG is the one. OPG.
It's hockey, and it's an Edmonton Oilers card.
You actually went right into the market I'm the most concerned with. The Jordan market. The Jordan market is the one market that actually hasn't really corrected as much. It's coming down that 10 little by little by little by little, but it's not. And what worries me is if the bottom does fall out. Now, you own that card. You know that card. You could counter it completely. Remember how we talked about the double correction and buying, it got hurt twice. So now's the time to buy because it might not go any lower from what we've seen. I don't feel that card has found a bottom.
Well, I mean, it has been slightly bleeding down.
Yes.
During this entire market, but it's still up significantly from where it was. I mean, it depends on what it depends on what you think. I think, and I've been saying this for a while, although the last couple of sales are slightly lower. I was under the impression that, a 180, 185, 200, that vicinity was going to be the last, stand for it. One sold, I mean, what was with buyer's screen? So 145 and then
174,
like 173 or whatever the heck it worked out to is the last sale following a 180 sale. I mean, part of that is, as we keep saying, you had a 180 sale on Thursday and then a 173 sale on Saturday. That shouldn't surprise people. The difference now becomes, when's the next one come up for sale? And if another one comes up for sale in a week or two or three, yeah, it becomes problematic. There's only so many people who are buying it. But I do believe that card, if not fully bottomed out, is very, very close to it. Because, listen, people are going to start taking their money out of the risky plays very soon. And what I mean by that is people are seeing Justin Herbert at 1-2. People are seeing Trey Lance get injured. People are seeing Mahomes not look fantastic. People are seeing Joe Burrow at 1-2. They're going to see all of them, Justin Fields, whoever it is. And then basketball is literally right around the corner. And you're going to see whoever it might be, LaMelo or Evan Mobley or Scotty Barnes or whoever it is, just started with a pedestrian season, and all of a sudden the numbers start to go down. Injuries happen, you name it. And they haven't been through this. People haven't seen it, because even last year when you came into the season, the market was still going good, right? We hadn't had this prolonged down period to lead into a season like we've had now. And everybody was making their bets. And I think what's going to happen is people will start to realize that, if you're going to have your money in the market, your money should be in Gretzky and your money's in Jordan. And eventually those Jordan prices get defended, because even though there's 320 of them, I think we can all agree there's probably more than 320 collectors who would want that card in their collection at a certain price. And when you start to see some of the prices that are being paid for like Davis Mills cards, or Carlos Alcaraz with his one win, the Jordan card is now not even that far out of the realm of some of these quarterback cards.
I don't like comparing that way, by the way.
But you have to.
No,
I mean, it's money in the hobby. I mean, it's
Carlos Alcaraz's first to market card.
Yeah, but still, it means somebody's spending $27,000 on it or $32,000 on it. I mean, you still have to put money in perspective, man.
I don't know if someone actually spent $32,000, because it's
maybe not.
Like that, to auction it off, somebody goes and buys it on the other end. But
let me ask you something.
You have 6 more for sale right behind you.
Who says the card market has to go up?
What do you mean?
I mean, who says the market has to be something that's up? Nobody, right?
Well, why am I in this if I'm not making money?
I honestly don't know. But you know that the stock market, everybody say, "Oh, I'm going to be in the stock market. I'm going to be in it to make money." You know that there was a lengthy period in the 60s to the 80s where the stock market was completely flat. Yeah. I mean, the hobby has gone through periods of years in a row where it was flat, slightly down, slightly up. And we just went through a huge boom. I think it might be ridiculous to think that, we should be looking for any area, taking our money out of this and putting it into this, because that's the one. The best sentence that you've had so far is, in a market like this, not losing money is winning. I think that's kind of the takeaway from this. And everybody else is kind of looking at it saying, well, I'm going to find the place to have my quick returns. Well, maybe there aren't going to be quick returns anywhere.
And they're going to be quick losses.
Yeah.
It's that Jordan card.
Uh-huh.
Would you rather own that, and it's kind of like a historical question, or like a 2003 game-worn patch auto of Jordan?
That Jordan.
You'd rather the 10?
Yeah.
Why?
Because there's a lot of different patch autos of Jordan. The 03, if you talk about LeBron, is a different story because it's a rookie. But there are Jordans in 03, 04, 05. This patch.
But that 03 exquisite. It has that problem.
It's cool, but still.
You like the apples to apples? That makes you feel comfortable?
Yeah. It's easy.
Another quote by Sign and Slab from yesterday from the story post says the cards that have held up the best. You want to take a guess? Montana and Rice. Yeah,
but they haven't held up that great either. I mean,
100 to 66. 100 to 66. It was at 66 before then.
Yeah, but I mean, listen. The Jordan card was at 100 when the Rice and Montana were at 27 and 36. So now the Jordan card's at 180 and the Montana and Rice are at 60 and 70. There's not, I mean, that's about the same
A better
kind of
return
run
for
up.
the other
Yeah,
two.
yeah. I mean, but with a smaller amount of money also. But yeah, I mean, they're in the same wheelhouse. You know what I mean? They're in the same vicinity for that, time. I mean, look, dude, I mean, the best return for me, part of what's dragging on the 86 Fleer Jordan right now is the influencer push on the star card. Part of that is because what was amazing about the 86 Fleer Jordan for me when I originally bought into it was I love buying the card for a player. It's why I like vintage and why I can't buy Trevor Lawrence even though I happen to like him, because he has 173,000 different cards, right? I think he has 5,472 one-of-ones. You know what I mean? I'm exaggerating, but not by that much. And I don't know what the card to buy for Trevor Lawrence was. And the 86 Fleer was the card, and now there is a hobby push for the star. I think that hobby push will die down after 5,000 of them are graded when the print run was allegedly 2,000. And after these things all come out of the woodwork and everybody realizes it's not that common and people stop talking about it the same way they stopped talking about F1.
You know what? That's actually an interesting point. And now you got me thinking, like, you know how there's all those, like, there's like the horizontal shield of Trevor Lawrence,
Yep.
which sells for pennies on the dollar compared to the vertical shield, and it's almost the exact same card.
Yep.
Well, that's really a gambler card.
Oh yeah.
And once, what did you say to me today? Those cards in the 90s, those are like, how did you word it?
Well, I went to a card show today and I said that there were cards in the 90s that were in everyone's showcase. And now no one wants them. They are your guys who are, your Edgerrin James, your Marshall Faulk, your Drew Bledsoe, and then Steve Young, Dan Marino. No one even cares about Dan Marino, John Elway, and I'm talking about like inserts and numbered cards and shiny cards. And you want to do basketball? I'm talking about your Allen Iverson. Right, there were tons of Iverson rookies and cool-looking cards, and you name it, right? Penny Hardaway and Chris Webber. And when I walked around shows as a teenager, that was what was inside the showcases. If I were to just stop and take a picture of those showcases and compare it, it's the same thing now. Only you have the prism red, white, and blue, prism green, prism orange of
Jones, Trevor Lawrence,
all of these guys, Justin Herbert, whoever it is. And sure, there are people out there who collect Iverson and Penny Hardaway, but there are certain cards that they collect, not the hundreds of them that were out there. I have binders of Eddie Jones that no one.
The cards are going to exceed the collector base, basically.
Yeah, and it's funny. I even went one step further. I was there with a friend, and we were looking at all the mid '80s baseball cards. You're like, remember, this was the card you needed to have, and it was like in a dollar bin. It was Barry Bonds and the Jose Canseco 86 tops trade. You're like, wow, look at these cards, and they're $2. No one cares. Same thing's gonna happen, man.
You know how it's like the man with the money meets the man with the experience. The man with the experience is with the man with the money. You know that quote?
Yeah.
Do you think something similar happens in cards? Like, when that money eventually leaves these speculative cards, it eventually finds its way back to the proven assets.
Yeah,
the tried and true stuff.
Yeah, but what's tried and true? You say, "Oh, these are cards for gamblers." Let me ask you something.
Well, the Jordan PSA 10 is a tried and true card.
But what the hell is a laundry tag?
Well, that's not a tried and true card.
I know. So, but what is it? You know what I mean? Like that's part of the problem with this. If the best thing you could say about your card is, this card is not as good as the true one of one, but it should kind of move in unison and be a fraction of it. What? Like, how does that make any sense? That's not the card you want.
The card I'm auctioning off is the Mahomes 1/1 eye black. So they have these like.
It's actually pretty cool. I gotta say,
it's cool, and it's an NFL players card, but like, it's a cool card. It's never the card,
Yeah.
Like you kind of realize once you actually hold it and buy it, and you get through all that. Like, I can't believe I bought this card. It's finally in my hand. I'm like, why did I buy it? Like those stages of grief.
Yeah. Well, listen, this is my hope for the future of Collectable
and
Fractional. Know that they have the items, more Muhammad Ali belts, more Will Chamberlain type of uniforms. Those are the items. Those are the things you want. The cards, the items.
You guys want to know a hilarious play? You guys will laugh. This is not a fractional.
I like it.
I said my piece. The Jordan market worries me. I don't feel like it's corrected yet, but I actually
you're allowed.
You brought a lot of good points. And then the Gretzky I feel is very safe. The most money I've made recently, Cage. You remember that Aaron Rodgers flawless card you recommended in PWCC?
Yep.
Honestly, buying low grade goats and cracking them, selling them raw is where creative pricing still applies.
Yeah.
Because people still have that hope. Just take a good picture and you run it through a consigner.
Yeah. That's
both of the cards I'm running tonight. And I obviously cracked them with the hope to regrade, but then you look at them and you realize they're not. The Kobe Row Zero that I bought for 508 is already at 521 with 20 minutes left. And the Aaron Rodgers, which I bought for 90, is at 117. That's the money.
Rodgers had a good game today. I mean, he beat Brady. I mean, I want to call it a good game. I mean,
But it's funny he'll take
remember in our
out
prediction
of the slab.
show? Yeah, well, that's what happens. In our prediction show, I said neither of those teams will score 20.
Incredible call. They should have, except they kept fumbling.
A lot of field goals. That's what happens. The good defenses, and broken offenses. So listen. Before we run the top 3 gainers this week, I already mentioned one, the Magic Johnson Larry Bird Exquisite Dual Logo Man Auto. It's the type of card that Collectable should have. It's the type of card you should only be able to get on here. This is one where if it got a little attention, I could see this one being a buyout candidate. I mentioned it to Andrew last week. We don't own any of it. Obviously, what we own.
Inextricably connected to each other.
Just a cool card, a cool dual logo, autos, nice autos on the card. It's a BGS 9. It's a 1/1, just a nice card. And again, same kind of thing. Up 63%, the Jordan Magic LeBron 05 SP Triple Authentic Signatures BGS 9.5. Also up 62% was the Michael Jordan 86 Fleer Rookie BGS 9.5 basket ×2. Based on Andrew's line of reasoning and the recent pricing, I wouldn't be surprised to see that one move in the other direction in the coming week. Just being real, it's up. I wouldn't be surprised if next week we're talking about that one in the top 3 decliners. One of the cards we did talk about last week, and I asked you about it, and you said, meh. The Cristiano Ronaldo 02 Panini Portugal sticker rookie in PSA 10 was down 58% because of the lukewarm reaction Andrew gave it when we talked about it. Andrew moves markets, folks. He is a market mover. Down 58%, Ozzie Smith 79 Topps rookie BVG 9.5. Beckett slabs for vintage cards usually don't do well. A lot of vintage is kind of moving down. Even Mantle stuff slightly. We talked about it on our show this week. My Mantle 5, which you thought was, wow, it's gone 5x. It's a $200,000 card. Remember, there was a Mantle SGC 5 that sold for what, $300,000? Well, a Mantle 5 just sold for $134,000. PSA 5, not SGC 5. A PSA 5 sold for $134,000. So is it really up 5x or is it up 2.5x in the last 3 years? Things move in different directions, even though Mantle is one of those ones that I always talk about as always going up. Clearly, if you bought a Mantle a couple of months ago and are looking to sell it now, you might actually be down on Mantle.
Some of the recent Mantle buyers were not Mantle collectors.
Yep. A really cool card you do not care about because you think he is just somebody who does yoga. Eddie Plank, his T206 Sweet Capital PSA 4. This was part of, when I was a kid, this card was talked about with the Wagner. They were the 2 rarities of the tobacco cards of the monster set, the T206. The Plank is down 36%. Obviously, somebody looked to take their little money, take their position out of that, and that was down 36%. We talked about the 2 auction results. There'll be more to kind of talk through. We talked about obviously the Michael Jordan that sold on Golden, the PSA 10, which sold for 173. So that's a down number. There's BGS that sold for lower also, which is why I'm not so confident on the BGS basket that's on here. You talked about the Wilt buyout. You mentioned the Tatum gold. You know, there's only 21% of the Tatum Flawless Gold RPA BGS 9.5. There's only about 20% of that remaining with a market cap of $56,000.
It's tough. I think we remember that the PSA 10 was 50 at one point.
Yeah.
One thing I'll leave that I learned recently was, I'll ask you, first 5 Hall of Famers in baseball. You know?
Oh, the initial 5 was it? It was Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth, Walter Johnson.
3.
I'm gonna feel like a real idiot when I don't get this. Is it Nap Lajoie? Was he in the first 5? Christy Matheson, yeah.
And then Honus Wagner.
Honus Wagner, yeah. Okay. I think Lajoie stayed around and was like managing and stuff, so maybe they kept him in there. But yeah, I mean that's Christy Matheson, Honus Wagner. Nice.
It's pretty cool to know. First 5 baseball Hall of Famers. That's another Fractional report. Any final words?
No, I mean, listen, we're having a lot of fun with this stuff. What about just a question for you? Any basketball stuff that you would look at in the lead up to the season? Anything that you see out there? There's one card that I will bring some attention to we don't own, but you guys know I think LeBron is a buy leading into the season. There's a cool one that IPO'd at I think it IPO'd at 20, the share price on this one. It's the emblems of endorsement. The 04 emblems of endorsement, the LeBron autograph. What the heck did it go down to? I'll have to try to pull that one up. Yeah, here we go. It's been down the last 2 weeks, and this is one that I think it started at like what was it, 10,000 shares, and 20 was the IPO. It's been in the 15, 16, 14, 16, back up to 20 in secondary. 2 weeks ago, if you looked at this card, it was trading at $15 a share. Last week down to $11.02. This week down to $8.41 a share. So I don't know if that's just an exit on the card or people looking to get out of it. If it was a 1 week move from 15 to 8.41, you'd see it on the decliner list. But because it's spread out over 2 weeks, it's kind of hidden. But it's almost lost half of its value in the last 2 weeks in a market cap just to share. Top of it, but take a look. LeBron James 04 exquisite emblems of endorsement. It's a BGS 9, pretty cool looking card that has really come down a little bit. And I guess the question for you is basketball. Besides LeBron, anybody look at Durant? Is Durant gonna have a little bit of a turnaround?
Durant is so sold off. I mean, the guy I'm looking at, I think Jordan Poole and Garland have pretty good years. I think Embiid. I think Giannis has a good year. LeBron is interesting, man. I almost feel LeBron's there for the accolades, and I'm wondering if they're priced in. I still think they have a very good team, though. Like I think we're underrating Anthony Davis and how good he is when he's healthy.
If he stays healthy, yeah.
He's a fantastic player, and with a healthy Anthony Davis, I can see this team as a top 3 seed.
Yeah, I mean, well, listen, I think that would surprise a lot of people, top 3 seed, but it is still LeBron, right? It is still. I mean, are they? Is Westbrook coming off the bench? Are they finally going to put him in the role you want him to be in?
There's so much uncertainty, right? Like, how do you quantify how good AD will be? Because we know him at New Orleans, he was an MVP candidate, but we also have seen him in street clothes. Westbrook, we've seen him as like an Oscar Robertson stats, and then we've seen the worst of him. LeBron, is he there to break the scoring record, or is he there to win championships? What's he got left in the tank, right? So as an investor, you know this. Anytime you have too many questions, the confidence level comes down with each question.
Right. Nobody likes uncertainty.
Right. So it's that's kind of my analysis, and I think you guys could take that and run with it in any way you want to.
Yeah. No, I like it. I think LeBron is the play right now. I think, the downside for him is about as low as it can be. You guys know I bought some LeBron cards.
But it also depends which LeBron card you're in.
Correct.
Because don't forget, LeBron has a ton of cards. Like a ton. Yeah. So, your refractor in a PSA 10 or a BGS 10, I do feel like that's leveled off. That's found its floor at that 58, 52, 55 mark, right?
Yep.
But then you have these offshoot cards where...
Are you able to pull up a card or no? If you're not, don't worry about it. because there's one last one I just wanted to take a look at because it falls in. I would feel bad if I did this 2 weeks in a row, right? At the end, we ended, and I was like, "Oh, look at this LeBron! Look at this Magic Bird, dual 101. I think this would be a cool card." And then now we get the data, and it's up. It's the number one up card. Then you see there was another like LeBron auto, that went up, and obviously people were looking at these autos. There's a card that if you could take a look at, that would be great. It's only a BGS 7, but I think there's only 10 of them. It's the 07, so 2007 Upper Deck Black Quad Auto. And it has Kobe, LeBron, Jordan, and Magic, all auto numbered out of 10. It's a BGS 7. But this is if you can find. I know it's a little wonky. It's a little bit of it takes a little bit of time to find this one. I'm pretty sure this one IPO'd at, what was it, 5? And there were 24,300 shares, I think. So I think the IPO on this one was about 120 something $1,000 on this card. And okay. So you take a look at the chart.
Card, right?
I mean, just a cool card, right? Either you like it or you don't, right? It's black, right? It is, but it's cool. It has 4 autos of like the 4 guys. Doesn't have like Kevin Garnett snuck in there. Like Magic is like the lowest end auto.
36.6.
But last week, $2.15 down to $151 a share. So this is now a quad auto numbered out of 10, $36,000 market cap, and this is when I think IPO'd at like 120,000, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, you can take a look at it. I think it was $5 a share and 24.3. So just a cool card. You don't see too many, Kobe, LeBron, Jordan, Magic, all 4 autos on one card, and definitely not at a price point like this. So it was just one that stuck out for me, and I would feel like an idiot if we came on next week and this was, a card that was kind of moving up, and I'm like, oh, I forgot to mention that one too. So anyway, it's just one that, that I noticed, I don't know, call it like a sell-off on. There are a few of them. So anyway.
Got to tip my hat to Cage, guys. All you guys that are part of the Whatnot show on Sunday mornings. We don't give plays. We don't really give picks. I don't at all. We give you guys analysis. And Cage puts in hours. Yesterday, he was on Jay Lee Live till basically like midnight.
Yeah.
Instead of going to sleep, even though he knew he was going to the show with the kids today. The dude went and put in tons of research to like, hey, by the way, the Jets are playing from behind. In the last 2 games, Flacco has over 50 attempts. The attempts are sitting at 35.5. This looks like an opportunity to take a look. Yeah. Cordell Patterson over rushing. I mean,
he beat that by almost 100 yards.
We try to put in a ton of work for you guys to help you get, like I said, to third base so that you could take it home.
So thank you all for listening to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo My. I wanted to tell you about a new service that we have starting as of today, and I'm really, really excited to bring it to you guys. So as a part of our partnership with SGC, we got 50 free submissions every single month, and many of you have taken advantage of that. And it's amazing that we could have the opportunity to 650 episodes, 675 episodes in, to go ahead and give back to our community. As people were sending those cards in, they asked, can we send 5, 10, 20 more cards to you guys? We'll pay for it, but we wanted them graded with SGC. You guys know SGC is turning cards around in 13 to 14 business days, have incredible customer service, and their secondary market values are going up day after day after day. And that's exciting for the hobby and exciting for the grading landscape. So we didn't want to just rush into it. We wanted to do it right. And what we did was I relocated here to Boca Raton, Florida. I opened up a P.O. box maybe 5 minutes away from SGC, and I will be hand delivering and hand picking up the cards. So you don't have to worry about anyone else touching your cards. It will be me, and I will update you every step of the way. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to personally pick up the cards from a P.O. box, prep them, new card saver, new penny sleeve, and deliver them to SGC every single Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Well, it lets the stragglers over the weekend come back through on Monday and gives me a day to prep, and it basically gives SGC the entire week to work on grading those cards. Once your cards pop, only then at the end of the process will you be paying for the service. It's $25 per card Simple as that. And the turnaround times have never been faster. We're hearing right now 13, 14, less than 20 business days. So there it is, 9170 Glades Road. Number 135 is the P.O. Box in Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. 9170 Glades Road. Number 135, Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. Of course, you could shoot me an email or shoot me a text anytime, and I'm always available. Many of you already have my email. It's iamandrewgoldberg@gmail.com, or my cell phone number, 215-519-9154. Reach out with any questions. I could walk you through the process. I've hopped on the call with quite a few of you, and I'm happy to do that. Love you, Luca Nation.